Yeah, you're so encapsulated that sometimes you have some people that aren't like heads up and knowing where you are, keeping track of where you are, you could get yourself in a little too far and but God forbid, get yourself jammed up.
Crazy.
It's,
I like
it's
that.
been a wild 27 years.
Wild ride.
But you know what? I wouldn't trade it in for the world.
Nothing.
Welcome to The Firehouse, the show dedicated to the brave men and women who serve our community.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Firehouse on WRHU 88.7 FM. I am your host, Chris Moses, and today, sitting with me in the Firehouse is my boy, Evan. What's going on, man?
What's going on, Chris? How are you?
I'm good. I cannot complain. So, Evan, talk to me. I need you to tell me your full name, and I want to say your last name. All right? Tell me if I got Schatzberg.
You got it.
There we go. Evan Schatzberg. All right. But tell him your name, tell him your department, tell him how long you've been in, and what ranks you've held.
All right. Well, my name's Evan Schatzberg. I've been in the Plainview Fire Department for 27 years.
Shout out Plainview.
I joined when I was 18 years old. I've held just about every rank. I started out as second lieutenant. I was first lieutenant captain. As Carolyn would have probably told you when she was here last week that I've been an officer basically the whole time we've been together.
I think she did say that. And just so you know, his wife is in the department. She's ladies auxiliary. She's the president. She's the president. Right? She's the president. So that's what he's talking about, Carolyn. But go ahead, keep going.
I ran for chief a couple of times. It wasn't my time.
Okay.
This year, actually, I'm sorry, 2 years ago was finally my time.
Okay.
I went and was with two amazing guys. They're two very good friends of mine. And this past year, I moved up to first deputy chief. So I'm with two other guys that are just absolutely amazing. The chief of department is a very good friend of mine. He's a huge mentor, and I owe a lot to him.
You create a bond, and that's something, because I never ran for chief, but I've always talked to chiefs, and they always say when your deputies, you create bonds with them, and
absolutely,
and it just stays forever. I guess I was captain, so I understand that with my lieutenants. I've always been that, but then as chief, it's different, right? Because when you're captain, we're all in the same company, right? I got my lieutenants in the same company, but now these are all people, different companies, and then as chiefs, you come together and then you create this bond forever.
Absolutely.
Right? That happens. All right, so let's start from the beginning, Evan, right? Okay. What makes you say that you want to be a firefighter?
Well, my father's been in the department for 56, going on 57 years.
Plainview?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay.
I was raised into it.
Okay.
I was, I think Carolyn showed you when she was here pictures of me, my 4th birthday.
Yes.
Standing on the pump panel and standing on the back step of the ambulance.
Yeah.
Who knew, 20-something years later, that would have been my career, working on an ambulance.
Wow.
But it was growing around the fire service. I mean, it's probably one of the most amazing experiences I've had in my life. Going back from being in the car with my father when he would respond to a call, going in the firehouse, standing there watching the guys running in and out, and getting on the rigs, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait. And then when I got old enough to actually keep track of the time, then I was like, oh my God, I could be a junior in like 10 years. Oh my God,
so
9 years.
So they had a junior department.
Yes, sir.
So then you're like.
Yeah, and then finally when the day came, it was like, oh my God, I'm old enough to get in the juniors. Let's do this. And then I went through the juniors. I went through the ranks to the juniors, lieutenant, captain. And then it got to the point where it's like, all right, I'm 17. It's coming. Let's go. Let's get this going already.
Time.
And then I remember the night I got voted in, got sworn in. And the rest was just off to the races.
Of course, I know you're in your father's company, right?
Yep.
There's no way that you were going anywhere else.
Well, my father, and then I got my uncle, who just hit 50 years.
In the same department?
In the same department, the same company, too.
Wow. And
then I have other family members who are in Engine 2. They both just hit 50 years. So there's a huge family legacy.
This is what you were almost born for this. Like, born to do this, right?
Yep. And I was actually talking to a couple of friends. They're like, what would you be doing with your life if you didn't have the fire service or or the emergency services? And I just looked at them. I couldn't even tell you.
You didn't even know.
I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't picture not having this in my life.
Yeah.
You know, it's your craft. It's what it becomes you.
It becomes, I love the way you put that, because that is literally, it becomes you. It becomes so much a part of your life that it's you. Like, this is exactly what you do. So how many years in total?
For me, I came in 96, so 20, going on 27.
27 years. I know you got some stories for me, Evan, and we're going to get into those stories.
All right, cool.
We're going to get into those stories. So you're in juniors, then you actually get in. Did you get to go to any fires with your father? Like, or your uncle or anything like that?
No, they never made it past really captain. So,
okay.
You know, if the past chiefs, they saw me in the firehouse, you know, and we were, before the call came in, hey, come on, let's go, come for a ride. So there's a couple of times I got to ride with the chief to the call, and I was like, oh my God, I thought it was the best thing, you know, since sliced bread. But never actually got to go on a call like with my father. Now, when I turned 18 and joined, we were on the rig all the time together.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I thought I was.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, like how? Yeah. So you got to go in with your father and do calls and
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. You and your father and uncle.
Yep.
Has there ever been a call where y'all all three together?
Yeah, if I think about it. As a matter of fact, one of the first working fires where it was something like serious when I first became a lieutenant. It was a fire in a senior citizens apartments, and you had like one or two apartments going. And my uncle was kind of like giving me the pep talk. All right, this is the real deal, kid. Yo, this is what you're gonna do. This. I looked over at him and I'm like, I got it. And he was like, all right, you know, because of course, you know, I was 19 years old, typical volunteer lieutenant. I knew it all. And then we pulled up, and I was like, oh boy.
Oh wow. Uncle, where are you?
Yeah. I was like, oh boy.
I think that's a huge part that I really like to highlight in this show is just the family aspect, because there's a lot of departments that have second, third, fourth, fifth generation like that are in there and are still going and still in there. So I really love that aspect. It's something that, you know, I obviously, hopefully I'll get there one day if my son's gonna join, but I really think that's dope. I really love that, to be at a call and see your uncle here, your pops there, and it's like, wow. But almost for you, it's just like, this is second nature. This is, you know,
it's like every day.
This is like every day. All right. So, you know what? Let's just hop right into these stories, Evan. Let's hop right into these stories. You know what? Before we hop into the stories, we got to bring up your wife, right? Okay. You got to tell me how she told me part of the story, right? It was a friend of a friend that brought you along. How did you all meet? I don't remember if she told me. Were you in the fire department already?
Oh, yes.
She wasn't, though.
No, she wasn't.
She wasn't.
She wasn't. So think back the Fridays on Sunrise Highway in Massapequa.
Yep.
There was a group of us, like typical fashion of you know, the volleys on a Friday or Saturday night. We'd all get together and let's go to Fridays, let's go to Applebee's, let's go to Chili's. So they said, all right, Evan, come with us. We're going out to Fridays on Massapequa.
Okay. For us, it's RC Dugan's on.
Yes.
That's what we used to do. RC Dugan's. But go ahead.
So I'm like, all right. Excuse me, my allergies are just toast. So I get there and I'm like, you know, I walk in and I'm like, all right, I'll hang out for a little bit. It was snowy and I was just like, Walk in the door and all of a sudden I see Carolyn sitting there and I'm like, literally like, whoa, I just lost my breath. What's this about? Who is this girl? You know, and I just couldn't stop staring at her. And I'm like, I don't want this girl to think I'm a freak. This is the first time she's meeting her. And I'm just staring at her. I was just totally just mesmerized by her. And, you know, we would talk, we introduced ourselves, and that was really it for the night. You know, and then she got my number through some of our other friends. And next thing you know, I'm getting a phone call. Hey, Evan, it's Carolyn. And I'm like, oh, hi.
Oh, hey.
I'll never forget the day. I was home from work and she's like, oh, remember my friend AJ you met? And I was like, yeah. She's like, she wants to bring her nephew up to the firehouse to see the fire trucks. Would you mind? You know, could you meet us? We're in town now.
You're like, of course.
Yeah. I'm like, first I'm thinking, I'm like, why is this girl who lives in East Northport driving around Plainview with her best friend and her nephew? I'm like, something doesn't seem right, but okay, no problem. So I met her up at the firehouse and, you know, AJ's, I forget her nephew's name, was just running around the fire truck, playing and everything, having a good time. And Carolyn and I were just talking, and it was just like, I really felt just like that instant connection.
Wow. So, wife in the fire department. Let's talk about your job. What do you do?
I'm a medic with Nassau PD.
Medic Nassau PD, and I assume you got this from being in the volunteer fire department.
Yes,
so
sir.
let's walk through that, because let's start with you were in the juniors and now you're in. Everything is going on with dad, with the uncles. Where does that come in with the medic? How does that even happen?
Fire is a family-owned company built on trust. Our trucks are standardized models crafted from years of real feedback. With competitive pricing, top-tier national dealer network, and lead time in months, not years, we're ready when you are. Proudly based in Milledgeville, Georgia, visit Fouts Fire on social media and drop a comment and let them know that the Firehouse on WRHU 88.7 FM sent you.
So I got my EMT when I was in high school.
Okay.
And, it was natural for me being around the firehouse. It just, everything fell into place. So I've always had an attraction to New York City.
Okay.
So I got my EMT, and I remember as I was doing my EMT, I remember I said to my parents, I was like, I want to go work in the city. So they're like, you don't want to go work in the city? No, I really want to go work in the city. I want to work city EMS. I need to experience it. They did a deep breath. They looked at each other. They're like, okay, we'll support you.
That's what we're gonna do, yeah.
So actually, before I got to the city, let me go backwards. I worked for the private ambulance companies. I worked for American Medical Response.
Okay.
I was there for a while. Then I got hired by Jamaica Hospital.
Okay.
I was at Jamaica Hospital for about 2 years, and then they took over Flushing Hospital.
Okay.
So the boss came to me, and he's just like, hey, listen, we just took over Flushing Hospital. We
need somebody.
Yeah, we want good, solid EMTs that know the system and will do the right thing to go up there and start their BLS. Sign me up.
Yeah, let's do it.
And and the rest was history. I did my time with Flushing. Went and became EMT CC.
Okay.
And then
do they still have? I thought they don't have CCs no more, right?
They stopped
doing
the
CCs, yeah.
And I think it's going to be sundown. So like EMT CCs will be gone by 2027.
Wow.
So I started, so I'm sorry, let me go backwards. So my time with the EMT, running around calls in the fire department, I'd see the police ambulances showing up on calls. And, I'd see the regular guys who worked in the Plainview area, they'd come in and it's just like, wow, these guys are awesome. Look at them. They're coming in, saving the day. It's just like, oh, the 14A is here. Oh, thank you. Come save the day. I'm an EMT. I don't know what's going on, but this person's sick. Come help him. So through one of my friends, he's like, you need to come on my job. He was a supervisor. And I'm like, I don't know. Do I have what it takes? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, but I'm going to be by myself. I don't have a partner. He's like, you've got it, kid. Don't worry about it.
You could do this. So
he helped direct me in the right direction, got my paperwork in. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's like, hey, you're going to be in the next academy class.
Wow.
And I'll never forget the day. I got off of working an overnight. Carolyn and I were already married. We were living in an apartment. And for some reason, I went to my parents' house. My parents lived around the corner from where our apartment was.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm going to go catch a nap before. Oh, the people who owned the house were working on it. So I'm like, let me go catch a nap before we head down to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
Because we're going down to our friend's house. And all of a sudden, I wake up and the chair's rocking and I hear her going, babe, babe, babe. And I'm just like, oh, what does she want? I open my eyes. I'm like, what? She's like, you got accepted. You're going to the academy. I was like, oh, my God.
This is happening.
And then the rest of it was just like, wow.
I love that. Talking about her, since we brought her up, she told me about a couple of times you left her at calls.
Oh, man. So
she told me about a time that it wasn't just her, it was her and some other friends.
Oh, so she used to work at Ulta on Hempstead Turnpike.
Uh-huh.
And I would go meet her and her friends, when they got out of work.
Yeah.
And we'd go grab dinner. We'd go get ice cream, go whatever, just drive around. Mm-hmm. And, of course, when I'm back in my younger years, I mean, listen, I'm driving around in a big buff mobile, but, I was the buff with the scanner going.
The whole 9
and,
yards,
we're all talking, and I see a couple of RMPs go racing down Hempstead Turnpike. I see an EAB supervisor go down Hempstead Turnpike. I'm like, oh, what's going on? I turn my scanner up, and Levittown banged out with a house fire, possible occupants trapped. Mm-hmm. And it was literally 3 blocks away.
You're like,
so I'm like, let's go. So I remember going down Hempstead Turnpike, making the left, looking down the road, and I see the fire blowing out of the top floor of the levee. I was like, oh, let's go. Pull up, and one of the EAB supervisors was just like, there's somebody, we got occupants within. All right. Yeah. Started going up the stairs. Him and one of the cops were already bringing it down. We brought it downstairs. She was in cardiac arrest.
Wow.
Started working her up. I went in the zone at that time, like nothing else was existing. Levittown's ambulance showed up. How ironic. It was my CC instructor. He's like, let's go. In the ambulance going, we get the woman back. She starts yelling at us that we're going to the medical center instead of going to St. Joe's. We're scratching our heads. We're like, lady.
Let's just back up. Yeah. Because Carolyn is still at scene.
Totally forgot about it.
But go ahead, keep going.
So get to the medical center, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. What did I just do? So my phone's, I feel my phone vibrating. I'm just like, hi, babe. Where are you? NUMC. I'm like, hold on. I said, I have my duty belt from the city. I said, I have a spare key to the truck.
There you go.
I'm in Levittown. I have no idea where I am. And I'm just like, you just meet me at the medical center. Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm so dead. I'm so dead. She's going to kill me. She's going to kill me. But, yeah, we actually got the woman back. She was,
that's good.
Thankfully it was actually Mother's Day Eve. Wow. So it was really cool.
Wow. So since we're getting into those stories, how many years did we say in total?
27.
27 years. So let's get into these stories. What do you got for me? What do you got? 2 good stories. What you got? Right. Well, we just talked about some of them, but.
So I'm in the fire department a month.
A month.
I came in, I started out as a junior, so I came in as a structurally certified firefighter.
Yeah.
So I haven't had my first working fire yet. I'm like, it's coming. I can't wait. Mm-hmm. So remember the night like it was yesterday. We went out with an automatic fire alarm, and we finished up checking it out. We're all hanging out at the firehouse. It was probably about 10 of us. Mm-hmm. And the chief of department, he was a real salty city fireman from Ladder 104. So, real iron lungs.
Yep.
And the alarm phone rings, and the dispatcher's like, oh, man, because we're all having a good time. Just typical kitchen table, just breaking each other's shoes. So the chief's like, it's going to be the big one. We're like, no, it's not. So dispatch goes over the in-house. We all go to the dispatcher's office. The chief comes out. He's like, get my keys. We got a job. Like, yeah, quit messing with this, chief. We're going home. No, I'm serious. So here I am. Like I said, I got a month on. I haven't seen my first fire for anything. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, we open up the bay doors. Now I'm a structural firefighter, so I could be on the first due rig. Look up, and this is the Morton Village Shopping Center, which is right up the block from our headquarters. I look up at the sky, and I'm like, oh, boy.
The shopping center.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a taxpayer fire in the cockloft, and I'm like, here we go.
Here we go. This ain't just a house fire. This is
so here I am. I'm the first due ladder truck going to a working fire. and it was an old school Sufton, 1973 Sufton, open rear cab. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, what am I doing? I'm like, this is great. So, I mean, I was lost. I'll admit it,
Mm-hmm.
And
of course, this is your first fire.
I went back to like my basics. The engine pulled up behind us. I'm like,
that's right.
I'm going to hit the hydrant. I'm the probie. So there was a picture circulating, and I wish I could get it. I was so jacked up on adrenaline, I ripped the hydrant wrench off the rig with the brackets and everything still on it and opened up the hydrant. So
the thing that's holding it in, you just
just ripped it right off, muscled it right off, and there it was. So
still stuck on there.
So then
on top of that.
So then I'm like, all right, what am I doing now? So I'm like, Evan, get in there and back Mitch up.
You're like, wait, what?
What? Okay. So I followed the hose line there and backing Mitch up. And it was just going crazy. And I'm like, this is amazing. I'm sitting there like, oh, wow, this is nuts. And I'm like, this is great at the same time, And then the drop ceiling came down on us.
Wow.
So it's like, ooh, all right.
So what's going through your brain the moment that happens? You're in there working, and all of a sudden you feel something. Boom. I'm pretty sure you hear it, then feel it.
Yeah, I mean, thank God, as I said, it was just like the drop ceiling.
Just a drop, but it's still.
I'm just like, oh, this is not good.
Yeah, it's still a scary thing, whether it's light or not.
Absolutely. So I was able to. Thankfully, I was by the window still by the explosion on one side, so I was able to just fly out the window and just lay it on the ground for a second, going, what just happened? And then that was that was crazy. My father actually drove the tower ladder. My father was watching while this was going on, and he like my mother, who was in the ladies auxiliary at the time, was there, and she goes, your father was going nuts.
Yeah.
And
I can
you know,
imagine.
and then finally once he saw me, he calmed down.
Calm down, but he knows his son is in there. Yeah.
So
Wow.
it was that was like
Intense.
probably the most the craziest fire that I went to within a month. And you know what? After that, it was like, even though I was hooked, even though I loved it, even though it was already ingrained in me, I was just like, I need more of this.
You need more.
I need more of this. Bring on the next fire.
Let's go. All right, so that's your first fire. What else you got for me? Even if it's EMS side, even if it's anything, even if it's the medic side, what else do you got for me? Or more fires?
Over 50 years, Fire News has been the preferred publication for fire, rescue, and EMS heroes. Fire News print edition reaches Long Island, 17 states, and the District of Columbia. Visit firenews.com to see the latest news, read their digital prints, or follow them on Facebook and Instagram pages. In print, online, on social media, Fire News has you covered. Visit firenews.com. And if you go ahead and go visit on Instagram, please leave a comment and tell them that WRHU 88.7 the Firehouse sent you.
Fires.
It's like the fires are just it's crazy. Like there's just so many of them. I mean, on the EMS side, you know, I'm a very humble person. Like I always just look at it like it's my job.
Yeah.
It's my job. It's what I got to do. Getting to meet people that my direct actions, or me and the coworkers, or myself and the members of my department that we've given a second chance to, there's no better rush. You know,
I can imagine.
I've met multiple cardiac arrest survival patients that have survived cardiac arrest that we brought back, people from auto accidents, and it's just it's amazing. You know, and still to this day they're like, you know, thank you for saving my life.
Yeah.
Now you want to see a 6'7", 320-pound guy clam up, and it's just like, hi, yeah, thank you. Thank you. But you know, the fires, there's I mean, not that Plainview burns that much, but there's throughout my career, mutual aids. There's been some crazy ones. I mean, I got the second like craziest fire for me. I was in the chief's office a month.
Mm-hmm.
So we get a call. It's actually the way the story started out was nuts. I just got up early that day for some reason. I was in the shower, and all of a sudden I'm hearing the bricks hits going on the phone, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? Somebody must have a fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hear my red alert app go off, and I was like, don't tell me. I get out of the shower, I'm drying off, and the 02, I hear him on the air, transfer to signal 10. I'm like, oh no. So here I am flying out of the shower. I'm like, this could be my first fire as a chief. And I'm in the shower. Oh my God, I can't do this. So then I looked at the time and I was like, I got to call work. So here I am calling medical control. I'm like, I need fire time. There's a huge fire. I don't know what's going on. And then once I get in my car, I turn on the MDT and I'm like, oh no, it's Central Park Road. It's the town senior citizens housing.
Wow.
So
and just for our listeners, that kind of changes everything now, because now you know there's people here that may not be able to get out.
Exactly. There's a totally different dynamic, and now I'm driving like, you know, like my life depended on it, and I'm listening to things just unfolding on the radio, and it's just like I need to get there yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, and the first deputy, his radio malfunctioned.
Wow.
So they're trying to call him. He's not answering the radio. It's like, oh my God, now things were just going sour fast. Yeah. Just this fire just took off.
As you're driving.
And I'm like, I need to get there. I got to get there. So we got on scene, and as I got dressed, I started making my way towards the building. Now, mind you, contact was again made with 02. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the cops came out and said he's having an issue with his radio.
Okay.
First two engine was there. First two engine only had 4 guys on board, and they did an amazing job. Wow. They, between going into a transitional attack, they got the fire darkened down. They pushed Andy back because of how far, you know, he couldn't see exactly what was going on the outside, understandably.
Yeah.
But that was just they were making grabs. I actually was one of the recipients of the Silver Medal of Valor from the county at the county award ceremony for helping to pull another person out.
Wow.
There was just so many things going on, and I'm just like, wow, this is my first fire as a chief. Whoa.
You had some good first fires.
Yeah. First fire as a fireman, first fire as a chief. It was just
it's been crazy.
It's been a wild 27 years.
Been a wild ride.
But you know what? I wouldn't trade it in for the wild.
Nothing.
And that's what, when I talk to people and they say, like, why do you volunteer? And I'm like, there's nothing more rewarding than helping people. You go from seeing the best days in people's lives to the worst days of people's lives. And the most important thing is that we're there to help them get through it.
And be there for them. Why EMS too? Because you said you became an EMT in high school.
Mm-hmm.
High schoolers normally aren't thinking of that. Is that because of your father and watching all of that? You were just like, hey, if y'all gonna give me this program, I'll do it here.
Absolutely. So So with Plainview High School, they were one of the models for VEB to do the EMT class.
Okay.
So the kids who are going into medical school or want to do whatever, they're taking it because, look good on their prerequisites. I was taking it because be like, hey, gets me treating patients faster. Let's go.
Gets me in the firehouse faster.
Exactly. So it became natural. Like my father, and I'm definitely not bragging, but my father, any of the senior guys in my firehouse or anybody like the neighbors who know that, oh, I'm Evan Schatzberg's son. Like, oh, your father was an amazing medic, and I guess the
it just kind of stopped. But I guess also because even if you're in, you could take it. What made you then? Because you're a medic now, so
yeah.
Why'd you keep going? Like you could have stopped right there, and what made you say, you know what, I wanna make this my career. I want to keep going.
Because it became addicting, I guess you could say.
Okay.
It's like, okay, I've been EMT. I can only do this much, but this person needs more. So I'm like, all right.
I can't do any more, but now I can.
Let me become a CC. And then it's like, all right, now I can do more. But then it's like,
they need more.
But wait, there's more. I need more. Get me more. And then when they decided they were getting rid of the CC class, like I was originally going to just go through the full medic class.
Okay.
But when they did the bridge class, I was like, all right, sign me up.
Okay.
And now it's like, I'm at the top of my level that I could be for the pre-hospital world.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You basically are nurses or doctors, whatever, right there in the field, which is it's amazing to me. Always tip my hat to that. I couldn't do that. Took the class, did everything, was like, this is not for me.
Not for everybody.
It's not. It really is not. It's just not for me. But all right. So let's get into some questions here. All right.
Okay.
What is a common myth that you would want to debunk about firefighting right now? A common myth.
We're not a bunch of drunk, rowdy clowns that just like to go to the firehouse and drink and cause problems. We're a bunch of good human beings that love to help people and want to go out there and save life and preserve property.
And do the right thing.
I
love that. Let them know. Like, it's not all what you think or the things that you hear or all things like that, right?
Exactly.
We're out here actually saving, life, property, all of that. So
leaving our family at dinner, like I've done to Carolyn, or
holidays.
Exactly. I mean, this past Easter, where Carolyn and we host our family.
Okay.
Sit down, page goes off, out the door. Come back, sit, we're eating again, page goes off, I'm out the door. That's what being a firefighter is about. It's about sacrifice. You're missing out on holidays. You're missing out on birthdays. But on the other side of the coin, the family being receptive towards it and understanding and appreciating it. I felt like I have a heads up on that because of my family history and background. But some other families, they don't
get it. Yeah. So, all right. So, we're gonna play a game called the Flashover. But before we get into the Flashover, okay. I got a question for you. All right.
Sure.
I need you to picture this in your mind for our listeners and for our watchers. I'm going to post it here somewhere.
Okay.
And I'm going to post this picture here, right? And I need you to think of this picture that's going to be right here.
Okay.
And it's of you, right, as chief, and Carolyn talking to you after she came kilt on the whole 9
Oh, my
yards.
God.
I need you to look at this picture and tell me what was going on in this picture, because it looks like she's yelling at you. Looks like she's like, dude, what are you doing?
So
talk to us about this picture, because we want to
my
know.
God.
She told us, but we need to know from you. Like, what?
So she had a parade with her pipe band, and I was at the firehouse. We had a training committee meeting, and we had a working fire.
Uh-huh.
So she's always after me. Like, listen, I drink a lot of water, but sometimes I forget about it. I get busy. Like, if you hand me a large iced coffee or a large glass of water, I'm going to take the iced coffee over that. So she came out and she saw that I was just sweaty and I was just like after a fire. So she's like, drink. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, no, because
I'm doing stuff right now.
in the middle of talking to the chief of the department. She's like, you need to drink. And I'm like, no. She's like, drink. I'm like, okay.
You gotta love that. You gotta love that.
And Kevin Madigan, I love that dude. He just got it at the right time.
Right there, perfect moment.
Right
That's
time.
K-Mad for you. K-Mad catches the moment.
He's the best.
It's a great moment right there to have forever. And now you have that.
Absolutely.
I love that. All right, so like I said, we are going to get into the flashover. All right. Are you ready, Chief, for the flashover?
Let's go for it.
All right. So if anyone doesn't know about the flashover, what's going to happen is I'm going to ask Chief a couple of questions. I'm going to ask him things like Android or Apple, and he has to give me the answer really, really quick. But we're going to do movies, we're going to do TV shows, and I'm going to add in some extra stuff here too. All right.
Go for it.
All right. So, Chief, are you ready for the flashover?
Ready. Let's do it.
Let's get it going. All right. So, drive the rig during the parade or drive the chief truck?
Drive the chief's truck.
Drive the chief truck. Not doing the rig. All right. Brush fire, dumpster fire.
Brush fire.
Basement fire, warehouse fire.
Basement fire.
Basement fire. Over the warehouse fire.
Absolutely.
Why?
Because we're going to go interior.
We're going to go in. All right. This is a good one. Confirmed car fire or automatic alarm with a slight smoke condition.
Smells and bells are horrible. Confirmed car fire.
Confirmed fire. We're not going to maybe that could be something. Confirmed fire. That's what you're going to. All right. Quick question. You are put on the captain's hat. You're the captain of a company, right?
Okay.
And they're going to do a department critique in 2 hours. Do you have the guys clean the firehouse for those 2 hours before that critique, or do you do another training?
Do another training.
Do another training. Going right into training. Mm-hmm. I love that. All right. Okay, so let's get into some TV shows. Okay. Some and if you don't know them, you don't know them. All right. Chicago Fire Rescue Me.
Rescue Me.
Rescue Me Third Watch.
Third Watch.
Third Watch? Why?
I've always had an epiphany. I should say I've always had a connection to Third Watch. So when I was working EMS in the city, we get switched over to, they had like a third or fourth alarm fire in Brooklyn. Uh-huh. So I was at Flushing. So this would be the day before GPS, and my partner was using the Hackstrom. And we're driving through the Queens, like Brooklyn area. Uh-huh. And all of a sudden, we drove right into the scene of a Third Watch being filmed.
Oh, being filmed.
Yep. And it was just like, ooh, the producers were not happy with us. Here comes a rickety old Flushing ambulance driving through
their whole scene.
Their scene is just like, oh, they weren't happy. So that's why I always like, I always just fight like with the Third Watch, because it was like, oops.
All right. Keep going. Third Watch, 911. Have you ever saw that show? 9/11?
Third Watch.
Third Watch. All right. So I'm still gonna bring it in anyway. How about, since you like Third Watch or trauma?
Well, being a medic, trauma.
That's why I had to ask. I gotta put that in there. So we're going trauma. All right. Let's go back to movies. Backdraft, Ladder 49.
Ladder 49.
Ladder 49. Why?
It's more realistic.
More realistic. That's what most people say.
I mean, the storyline with Backdraft, it's
the Bible. We love it.
Exactly.
But
if you people really want to understand and have, I don't want to say like an appreciation or really what the fire service is about, I think that hits every aspect of it. That checks every box. Everything from the brotherhood to the family to the unfortunate loss and what it's like to lose somebody.
Yep. All right. So now, most important question I'm going to ask you today: engine or truck?
Truck.
We're going truck all the way. Truck is there. So now, your father, truck.
Yep.
uncle
truck. And I guess my 2 great cousins, they're in the engine.
In the engine. All right. So I know that must be fun at at Thanksgiving. So you really had no choice. You weren't going engine no matter what. You were going in the truck the whole time.
Absolutely.
I love that. All right. So before we get out of here, I still have a couple more questions for you. So being chief, I know you remember, being captain of the company and, now being chief, like, what is the difference? And I don't want to say difference, but how does that change? How does that mindset change from being the captain and taking care of these guys to now that whole big picture of the whole department?
You have everybody's lives, and you're responsible for everybody's lives, their safety, their well-being, and it's a huge responsibility. You got to make sure the guys are trained, the guys get home to their families safe. Mm-hmm. They also can work on like the social aspect of it. Listen, nobody's going to like each other. It's impossible, especially in the fire service where you have so many type A personalities.
That's right.
But they can find that one level to meet each other and respect each other. That's right. And making sure that it's just all trying to flow as fluid as possible.
Okay. I love that.
That's the different thing as far as with being
that
chief.
You got to kind of look at that big picture of everything.
You have to be able to adapt to different personalities.
Let's just get into really quick your band. Talk about that, because that was something that we actually talked about your wife with too, because you are in 2 different bands,
yes,
right?
Sir.
So talk about yours. Tell us about that, the name of it, and just how did you get into that, right?
The Nassau County Firefighters, Pipes and Drums.
Okay.
I've been in the band since 2007.
Okay.
I've always had an attraction to the Irish heritage in my family.
Okay.
The bagpipes have always been, it's kind of like, people like to listen to classical music to like smooth them down. The bagpipes are like my jam. The Irish music is like my jam. And so I was bouncing down in Long Beach.
So you play the bagpipes?
I'm a drummer.
So you're the drummer. Okay.
Yeah, I have musical talent, but not that much musical talent.
Okay, yeah, because don't they gotta like squeeze?
Yeah,
to
they
get
squeeze,
the air.
they blow. I'm not
and
coordinated enough.
That's a lot.
I'm not coordinated enough.
But go ahead.
So I was bouncing down in Long Beach, and one of the other bouncers that I worked with, he was in Point Lookout Lido Fire Department. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Hey, you have any interest in being in the pipe band?" And I was like, "Really? You're asking me that? Of course." Like I'm like trying, because I've been trying to figure out how to do it.
I've been trying all this time to figure it out.
Well, I just became a piper. I was the drum major. You want to come and take over as a drum major? I'm like, sign me up. Let's go.
Let's do it.
So, he spoke to, I guess, the executive board of the band. They brought me on, and they were teaching me how to be the drum major. So I was a drum major for a bunch of years. And then I really started to be like, all right, I want to pipe. So I took piping lessons, and honestly, it's 8 notes, but it's probably the hardest 8-note instrument you'll ever play. And I don't know how to read music, and it was definitely a difficult task for me.
Yeah, to learn.
So I couldn't do it. So then I was like, all right, listen, I'll be a bass drummer. I mean, it's not hard. Boom, 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 But
got the stature for it to hold it.
Exactly. And after a couple of years as being the drum major, I became the bass drummer, and I've been one of the bass drummers since then. The pipe band is so rewarding. You're there for some of the best days in people's lives, the weddings, the worst days of their lives, funerals. We do countless parades, installation dinners.
That was going to be my question. How many per year? Or like how one? With your job, with volunteer, like where do you have the time to fit that in? Because I know that's demanding.
Yeah, it's a stretch. There's like on Wednesday nights we have practices, so I'll be at work all day.
Practice.
I'll be at work all day, and then Wednesday night I go to practice, and then I'm not walking to my door till like 9, 10 o'clock.
Wow.
That is also if we don't get a run on the way home.
Yeah.
But it's been a crazy ride with that. We've done presidential inaugurations, we've done football games, baseball games. It's like the pipe band's like another family. It's like being in another fire department. A bunch of crazy hooligans, but it's phenomenal.
It's still good. It's still good. All right, so I got a couple more questions for you. In your time, you went from all the ranks, you've held them all. one piece of equipment that you think has really impacted your job, like, and that also has changed over time. I know it's like a 2-part question, but any equipment that you can think of that has really, you know, kind of changed what you do or made it for the better or anything like that?
I'd say the battery operated tools now.
Okay.
You know, the battery operated extrication equipment, the battery operated partner saws, and so on. It's now made it where we're not restricted. You know, that with the old school Hurst tools, the Hamacho tools, you had the hydraulic lines keeping you tied to the truck. Now it's like, all right, the battery operated is stronger than they were with the hydraulics. This is great. You have no restrictions. I think that's honestly something that's changed for the better.
That's good. That's good.
The worst, and I know people are probably going to be like, this guy's crazy, but the PPE.
Okay.
The PPE.
Please explain.
It gives so much protection. It doesn't allow you now to feel, hey, I'm getting too far in and I'm going to get myself jammed up. So if you have
encapsulated now.
Yeah, you're so encapsulated that sometimes if you have some people that aren't like heads up and, you know, knowing where you are, keeping track of where you are, you could get yourself in a little too far and God forbid, get yourself jammed up.
Yeah, I like that. I didn't think that take of it, but yeah, you're right. Yeah. All right. So got another question for you. In a whole, right? How has being in the volunteer fire department, how has that changed your life?
Makes me appreciate life in a whole.
Okay.
You know, because again, you go from seeing some of the best days in people's lives to the worst days of people's lives, and you really got to appreciate what you have, because in a flash of a pen, it could change. You could lose your house, you could lose your loved one. You know, you can so many bad things, but I like to try and look at it like in a positive way. You know, you can help make a difference in a person's life.
I loved it. I love that. All right, and last question I got for you, Evan, is if there's someone that's listening right now that is thinking about getting in or is in and they only have a couple of weeks or even a couple of months, what kind of advice would you want to give them?
Stick with it. Stick with it. If you want to join, go join. Fulfill that dream. Help your fellow person. Help your community. Help save a life. If you're a new guy, grab a senior guy. Talk to him. Learn from him. You know, I remember back in my younger years, I used to love going up to the firehouse around 10 a.m. and all the senior guys were sitting around the kitchen table, you know, talking about, you know, some of the guys World War II or Vietnam or when they first joined the fire department. You know, we had a senior guy who he used to be a barber. He would shut the barbershop down to respond when he was a chief, to respond to calls. Or you went in there for a haircut. After you finished the haircut, there was an application for membership, you know.
Join.
Exactly. You know, but just continually ask questions and talk to your senior members. And if you're not getting answers from them, talk to another senior member. Eventually you're going to find somebody that wants to take the time and will help you become the best that you could be.
I love that. I love that. I hope you all are listening. So if you're thinking about it, here's your time. Do it. Do it right now. Do it right now.
Don't think about it. Don't wait. You know, if you got that itch, you got that thought, do it.
Do it.
Because life gets busy, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I want to do it, but oh, you know what? I got to go walk the dog. I got to, change the laundry. And next thing you know, 3 years from now, it's like, oh, you know what? I should have did it. 10 years from now, you have a family and kids and everything. And now it's like, oh man.
Incorporate it into your life now.
Exactly.
All right. So, Evan, am I forgetting anything? Do me a favor. Shout out Plainview. Do they have any websites, anything like that they can go?
Absolutely. www.plainviewfd.org. If you live in the area and you want to join, follow the links. Fill out the request for an application. Somebody from our investigation and recruitment committee will get in contact with you and get you rolling, get you doing some ride-alongs, and let's get the ball rolling. We need you.
I got a question just for listeners that want to get into, pipe and band and the drums. How would you get into something like that?
Well, to get into my band, you have to be in the fire service, or you have to be a friend of the fire service.
Okay.
If you want to get into the pipes and drums, there's plenty of places. You know what? Wait, join the fire department and then join the band. Forget about that.
There you go. Join the fire department. Then we'll talk about that next.
Exactly. Forget about that. Join the band. Join the fire department.
Join the fire department first,
band.
and then all of that stuff will come all in.
Absolutely.
Bill, thank you so much, Evan.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Evan.
My pleasure,
thank
Chris.
You.
Thank you.
It was great. It was great having you here. Again, am I forgetting anything? Anything else you want to shout out before we get out of here, Evan?
No, I mean, obviously, besides the pipe band, the best volunteer fire department pipe band in the world.
There we go. Let them know.
You know,
let them know.
It's a great bunch of dudes.
I love it. All right. Listen, I hope you all enjoyed that because I definitely did. We just heard from Chief Evan Schatzberg. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did, sir.
I said it right. Let's go, from the Plainview Fire Department, about his life as a firefighter. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation. Please like, share, subscribe, do all those things. I am your host, Chris Moses, and please tune in next week to another great conversation in the Firehouse.